What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and a lot of people have been asking me, is it true that there is an April 15th deadline for stimulus? And yes, it is true. I'm going to be covering all the details for you in this video. This is going to be directly impacting the prices of food, gas, everything happening with inflation, and stimulus checks. This is your stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and breaking news update. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the headlines, give you some context about what's going to be unfolding here. So we're seeing articles coming out like this. The looming catastrophe of global food shortage. Russia's war with Ukraine has sent food prices skyrocketing, leaving millions at risk of going hungry. So not only gas prices, but food. And this is going to be directly tied to food provision stimulus. The war in Ukraine is sending fertilizer prices through the roof. That could spark food shortages in countries already struggling with widespread hunger. So not only gas prices, as we've heard of gas stimulus checks, but food is going up in price significantly as well. Here's another one. The world is on the brink of a food shortage. And just to clarify, this is not just the United States. This is the entire world. Here's what the U.S. government, though, and businesses can do to help. And we're hearing that there's an assortment of shortages taking place right now. I'm going to be giving you video footage covering the details of what is skyrocketing in price right now and the issues that are currently at hand. And here's one that's hitting families pretty hard. Baby formula shortage hits stores across the U.S. with some rationing supplies. Product recalls after illnesses and death linked to powdered infant formula products combined with supply chain problems have caused formula to be missing on store shelves. A shortage of baby formula is worsening and causing some stores to limit their sales. And you guys, we're hearing that they've got to do something about this. The deadline is coming up here. I'm going to give you all the details. And we're hearing they've got to do provisions and stimulus here very soon, because if they do not, those elections are coming up. And take a look at these headlines. Voters disapprove of Biden's work on several key issues. Polls show, and I shared with you in a previous video, that around 71% of the nation says they disapprove of how things are being handled with our economy. So they have got to get something done. Now, on the issue of food and stimulus provisions for that, take a look at this, you guys. Here's the deadline. SNAP and Medicaid pandemic benefits will expire on April 15th. Here are the states and the territories that will be impacted. I'm going to be covering for you all the ones that are involved, that if there's not something done here soon, are going to be impacted by this. I'm going to go through the actual official website for you, list off the states, let you know what's on the way. So you guys, a lot of stuff has to happen here very soon in the form of stimulus provisions, helping out people, and all of this is being exacerbated by that war in Russia and Ukraine. But we're hearing it's not just that. There's a combination of things that are causing prices to skyrocket. Inflation is soaring. We had a report come out today that it was 8.5%, the highest we've seen since 1981. So I'm going to dive right in, get you caught up on the latest, let you know what's unfolding and how Congress is going to be responding to all of this. So let's go ahead and dive right in. But before we do, if you could do me a quick favor, just takes a second. If you appreciate the content, don't forget, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Helps out my channel a ton. If you appreciate the content, just takes a second. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you like to stay up to date, come join the Bram fam. Totally free. Why not? All you got to do is hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. I'll let you know everything going on. And if you got any specific questions for me, I'm easy to get a hold of directly. Just hop onto Instagram, shoot me a DM at SteveRam3, and consider joining that second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. But with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and dive right in. And let's start off with some video footage to let you know some of the shortages that are taking place right now with food around the world.
In Ukraine, driving global food prices to an all-time high. According to new data from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, global food prices in March increased by more than 12% from February. And to make matters worse, there are other major destructive events that are adding pressure to the global food supply. CNBC's Christina Partsinevelos is here tracking those tonight. Christina.
Well, Carl, you have several factors at play here, all colliding to push food prices to heights many have never actually seen before. Take, for example, a hog disease outbreak that is shrinking herds in Mexico. They're forced to turn to U.S. pork supplies, which is why exports to Mexico surged 33% in January and February. The prices are nothing to snort about. Pork products like Spam have already surged 7.1% this year. Last year, a can would have cost you $3.73, and now it's at least $4.02. Bird flu is also sweeping the nation and forcing American farmers to kill millions of hens, slashing the supply of eggs. A dozen eggs are at least 11% more than last year, so you could get it at $3.29 a dozen versus $2.92 just last year. And it gets worse. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said this year's citrus crop was expected to be the smallest in more than 50 years. Frozen orange juice prices were up 17% in February compared to last year. And that's because of an invasive insect disease that damaged Florida orange groves. And maybe you want to call it a war on breakfast. Even the stable grain oats jumped to an all-time high today because of a drought in Canada. And you think these prices are bad? The USDA warns that it's only going to get worse, especially as some companies move on to 2 and 3 rounds of price hikes, Carl.
Literally, if it's not one thing, it's another in this case.
All the things right now in this case.
Thanks, Christina. Christina Partsinevelos.
So there you have it, you guys. A major warning on the food supply, and they're saying if you think the prices are high now, well, they're going to keep going up. Now, one of the ones that has been making headlines right now is baby formula, as a link in the description below to this article that says baby formula shortage hits stores across the U.S. with some rationing supplies. And it says stores across the U.S. have started to ration baby formula, while some others are reporting increased shortages. The nationwide shortage in baby formula comes 2 months after a huge manufacturer recall, which occurred as a result of illness and death among infants. Now, in March, the Food and Drug Administration released a warning to consumers, urging them to be aware of certain products branded Similac, Alimentum, and Elecare that have been recalled. So if your children are using those, please take note of this article right now. The FDA launched an investigation after complaints emerged of bacterial infections in 4 infants who consumed powdered infant formula produced at the Abbott Nutritionals facility in Michigan. Now, according to Ben Reek, CEO of Data Assembly, the baby formula shortage is at the highest level than any other product. It says inflation, supply chain shortages, and product recalls have brought an unprecedented amount of volatility to the category. And we expect to continue to see baby formula as one of the most affected categories in the market, according to this report. So there you have it, you guys. Very concerning for infants when they're being impacted by this. So if you use any of these, please take note of this and use precaution for your children. Now, in addition to that, food just across the board, as we mentioned, is being impacted. And take a look at this. The deadline, April 15th, SNAP and Medicaid benefits will expire on April 15th. These states and territories will be impacted. Now, the article says that stimulus bill era supplemental SNAP assistance, so this is benefits directly tied to the pandemic, stimulus provisions that have been provided. They are at risk of ending on April 15th if the Biden administration does not extend the public health emergency or the PHE declaration put in place during the pandemic. So they put this in place. They're extending out benefits. We heard of the student loan pause getting extended. Will they do this also for food supplies? Since the pandemic began to affect the economy and prices started to increase, the U.S. Department of Agriculture granted waivers to certain states and territories, allowing for the issuance of emergency supplemental income to SNAP recipients. The extra money was conditional on a state of issuing an emergency or disaster declaration. So if this disaster declaration does not continue, neither will these supplemental benefits. The majority of states and territories have done so and have been issuing supplemental SNAP benefits to their EBT card recipients as a result. Now, Secretary of Health Human Resources Xavier Becerra extended the emergency declaration on January 16th. So at the beginning of the year, that was the first extension we saw, with the new expiration date of April 15th. This means that if the measure is not extended once again, the supplemental SNAP money for millions of Americans that they've been receiving is now currently at risk. Now, the additional money can amount to about an extra $100 per month. So this is currently what is on the line. SNAP money, regardless of state or territory, is only allowable for the purchases of fresh produce, food, groceries, pre-approved vendors, and grocers for each state's program. This means that the extra money is guaranteed to be used on food for families in need. The money is not deposited into discretionary accounts to be used at the will of each recipient. So this is specifically for food assistance. Now, should the extra assistance not be renewed, the following states and territories will be impacted. So here's the list of ones that could be affected. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia, Georgia, Guam, Hawaii, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Now, if you're wondering what is the current situation with your state, here is a link. I'll put it down below to the USDA Food and Nutrition Services, U.S. Department of Agriculture, the official website, and you can see acknowledgement of extensions that are taking place right now for these SNAP benefits. These are the allotments. So for 2022, April, here is the list of all of those states that have done the extension. Looks like there's roughly about almost like 40 or so. So almost the entire nation that's doing these extensions. And if this is not continued as an emergency disaster situation, all of these SNAP benefits will likely fall off unless they provide some extension. So that is currently the situation, and this is all happening while we're hearing of a global supply shortage. So we're going to be seeing what Congress does. I think that with everything happening with midterm elections and with this global food supply shortage, and we're hearing with inflation and gas prices soaring, we will see how they respond to this, and I will let you know here on the channel. So that is the latest on the current food supply shortage issues that we are experiencing right now. Inflation is at a 40-year high. We have gas prices soaring, and we're going to be seeing how Congress responds to all of this here in the United States. And I will keep you up to date as more information rolls out. We're hearing that they're starting to move quickly to try to get stuff done. And like I said, as it unfolds, I'll report it here on the channel for you. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Helps out the channel. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you like to stay up to date, totally free, come join the Ram fam. Just smash the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. If you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3, and consider joining the second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.